Ex-Minister Norton charged in relation to $12.5 million drug bond rental scandal. Exxon encounters additional problems despite repairs and upgrades to gas compressor, oil production down from 120,000 to 30,000 barrels per day. Meanwhile, family buries wrong body in COVID mix-up, and Donald Rodneys' appeal of 1982 conviction for unlawful possession of explosives set aside in historic decision. Meanwhile, repairs to Letham's main access bridge to cost at least $17 million. Minister Indar pleads with heavy-duty truck drivers to monitor their weight. Do stay tuned.
Guyana is now a full-fledged oil producer.
Former Minister of Health under the APNU-AFC government, Dr. George Norton, yesterday made his first court appearance after he was charged in relation to the $12.5 million Sussex Street drug bond rental scandal. Norton appeared in the Georgetown Magistrates Courts before Chief Magistrate Anne McLennan. He was not required to plead to the indictable charge, which alleges that while performing duties at the Ministry of Public Health within the Government of Guyana between June 1, 2016 and June 1, 2017, he willfully misconducted himself when he instructed Trevor Thomas, the permanent secretary of the said ministry, to sign a contract dated July 20, 2016 between the Ministry of Public Health and Linden Holdings Inc. for the rental of a property situated at Lot 29 Sussex Street, Albois Town, Georgetown. It further alleged that Norton rented the bond for 3 years at $12.5 million monthly. In other news, after conducting repairs and upgrades to the Liza Destiny's gas compressor system less than 2 months ago, the crucial piece of equipment has malfunctioned once again. This occurred even before the final test run could be completed. Disclosing this yesterday was Public and Government Affairs Advisor for Exxon Mobil Guyana, Janelle Prasad. Prasad said that a team from SBM Offshore, the manufacturer of the Liza Destiny, Man Energy Solutions, the company that did the upgrades and repairs, and Exxon Mobil are on site to assess repairs with support from engineering experts in Europe and the USA. In other news, Manisha Ramjitan and her family are seeking answers on how the body of their relative, who was pronounced dead at the Georgetown Public Hospital after being tested positive for COVID-19, was buried by another family, while that family's body was presented to them for the burial. According to Ms. Ramjitan, her brother, 35-year-old Wazim Ramjitan, was taken to the Georgetown Public Hospital on March 29th after he started bleeding from the nose and lost consciousness. Understandably alarmed, his family rushed him to the hospital's accident and emergency unit. It is understood that Mr. Ramjitan was pronounced dead on arrival. Upon hearing this, Ms. Ramjitan requested to see her brother but was denied. Prior to this, the family was questioned as to whether her brother had taken a COVID test, to which they answered that he did on March 27th, the result returning with a positive diagnosis the next day. Get the full details in today's Kaieteur News. And moving on, 4 decades after Donald Rodney was found guilty and sentenced for the unlawful possession of explosives, the appeal of his 18-month conviction was yesterday set aside in a historic decision. This was the first time in history a director of public prosecution who represented a state in the matter agreed with the defense in the Guyana Court of Appeal. Weeks after the DPP agreed with the defense that there was not sufficient evidence against Rodney to support his February 26, 1982 conviction in the magistrates' courts, the ruling yesterday handed down by Chancellor of the Judiciary, Justice Janet Cummings Edwards, Justice Don Gregory, and Justice Rishi Prasad of the COA. The DPP had also accepted that Rodneys' rights to a fair trial within a reasonable time, as outlined under Article 144 of the Constitution of Guyana, was infringed upon due to the delay in hearing the appeal. And now let's tell you the repairs to the Perara Bridge, located on the Lind and Latham Trail in Region 9 that was damaged last Saturday, are expected to cost at least $17 million to repair. As the repairs to the bridge are slated to only last 2 weeks, Minister within the Ministry of Public Works Deodat Indar is pleading with heavy-duty truck drivers to monitor their weight, which can cause grave damage to the trails and bridges in the interior areas. The Perara Bridge is the main access bridge to Latham, and on Saturday evening, a heavily loaded truck caused 1/3 of the 200 feet long bridge to collapse, leaving vehicles and fuel tanker transporting fuel from Latham Power Company stranded. It is now 12 hours 8 in Guyana, and you're listening to Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. This is your news at noon. We will return after the break.
Good morning.
Anne McLennan has ruled that the PNC chairperson, Valdo Lawrence, GCAM Region 4 RO, Claremont Mingo, and APNU-AFC activist Carol Smith-Joseph elections fraud cases will be disposed of summarily. On the last hearing of the matter in the Georgetown Magistrates Courts, the Chief Magistrate ruled on the submissions for the mode of trial. In that the matters will be tried summarily, meaning the matters will be tried in the magistrates' courts as opposed to going to the High Court for trial. The trio denied the charges, and the matter was adjourned to June 11, 2021 for disclosure of statements. In other news, the United States Justice Department, EPA, and the state of Illinois agreed to an amendment to the 2005 Clean Air Act consent decree signed with Exxon Mobil to resolve violations at its petroleum refinery in Joliet. Under the new agreement, it requires Exxon Mobil to clean up its act and pay penalties for its violations. Under the consent decree amendment, Exxon Mobil will pay $1.5 million in penalties, $1 million to the federal government, and $428,823 to the state of Illinois. The amendment also includes an estimated $10 million of improvements to reduce air emissions from the facility. And now let's tell you, Guyana's economy is reported to have grown by 43.5% this past year, despite the non-oil economy contracting by more than 7%. But according to Minister Onij Waldron Alikak, the ministry is now overwhelmed with demands for the establishment of more industrial zones, with requests from domestic businesses looking to expand operations or to set up shop in an industrial zoned area. As such, the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce is looking to establish shortly 2 additional industrial zones in the country, namely in Region 10 and Region 2. In other news, a security guard is now hospitalized at the Georgetown Public Hospital after he was shot to the right thigh by 2 unidentified men on Monday in the vicinity of GR Taxi Service. Currently in a stable condition in the hospital is Trevor Hooper of Tuckville Terrace, Georgetown. We learned that Hooper was hanging out with a friend at a shop located on Stone Avenue, Campbellville, when they came under attack sometime around 18 hours 30. Hooper's friend was unharmed from the whole ordeal, and according to the man, persons from the area who witnessed what transpired were heard saying that the suspects pulled up on a motorcycle, fired the shots, and then made good their escape. And Knowledge police yesterday arrested a Zone 42 bus driver who was seen in a video assaulting a female passenger after she complained about his loud and vulgar music. Mark Ramatar, Public Relations Officer of the Guyana Police Force, related to reporters. In an invited comment, Ramatar stated yesterday that he can confirm that the individual, or the bus conductor, was arrested and is currently in custody at the Rijnveld Police Station. Meanwhile, 28-year-old Casey Helgar, who was on remand for the murder of Peter Gonzalez, a contractor, was freed sometime after March 1, 2021, following a bandit implicating another individual as the alleged mastermind. The bandit, Daniel Paris, had confessed to the police that he was the one who murdered Gonzalez after he was captured on February 3, 2021. It was in that confession, according to sources, that he told detectives that Helgar was not his accomplice in Gonzalez's murder. It is now 12 hours 13. Coming up after the break is your COVID-19 update. Coronavirus cases has reached 138.3 million, with deaths at 2.9 million and recovery cases at 111.2 million. And the local stats, the total cases in Guyana has reached 11,277, with total deaths at 258 and recovery cases at 9,796. The country currently has 1,223 active cases with 15 critical. Before we come to the end of the news, let us head over to the page 7 of today's Kaieteur News that is dedicated to being blunt. Even as Exxon is shelling out millions of US dollars across the world, from Ireland to America, to both pay for environmental damage and to ensure that they do not reoccur, Guyana is being treated like trash in how the company handles basic issues here. For the second time in 4 months, Exxon's gas compressor has supposedly failed. The local arm of one of the biggest companies on the planet is either operating like a corner cake shop or having us believe that it is. And with that, we've come to the end of today's News at Noon. I am Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.